Golden Eagle Log and Timber Homes has designed and built over 5,200 homes, and that's a lot of kitchens. When you work with Golden Eagle, they do all of your custom cabinetry design. This home not only has one, but 2 islands in it. This one's primary function is for serving food. Just imagine a large buffet of food right here. There are enough outlets to be able to accommodate 10 slow cookers at one time. And there are actually enough circuits run in here where none of them will blow a fuse. Everything is well thought out for convenience in mind. We even have it figured out where the homeowner, we suggested to them, hey, how about having a warming drawer? That way, once food is out of the oven, you can keep it warm in here, and that way everything is ready to be served at the same time. It's inevitable that when you have a large gathering, everyone ends up in the kitchen. And that's perfect for this open concept living. It's nice to see all of this floor space between the islands because it never gets too crowded. Now this here is a prep island. What I really like about this is that it actually fosters conversation and it includes everybody into the kitchen. So a person can have their own individual prep area here with a sink, and there's a dishwasher on the side. And then over here on the other end of the island, the same thing. Convenience was in mind with this dishwasher, which allows you to run half of a load. Really neat. Another great thing to keep in mind are these big pot drawers that are in here. This is great for large serving platters and trays that you would lay out for the prep area. In most homes, a microwave is held up higher and it's more of an eyesore. In this home, it not only looks good, but it actually is kind of kept out of sight. This microwave drawer is kept in the base cabinetry of this island. It pulls out and it's a lot easier for you to set items in there, which makes it a lot safer. The most used appliance in the house, of course, would be the refrigerator. This is a 42-inch wide French door unit, but the gourmet chefs out there, they will appreciate this steam oven. Additionally, there's a conventional oven right below it. I really appreciate the seamless integration of the appliances with the cabinetry. Everything is custom and made to fit perfectly. There are even little features, like a pop-out drawer at the toe kick. And contrast that with this prep island. The prep island is granite. The movement in here is just absolutely beautiful. And what was really important to the homeowner was to have more of this furniture edge on here. So Golden Eagle made sure to follow the contour of that with the cabinetry as well. You know, I keep calling this the prep island, but it's so big you might as well just call it the continent, and that can be the island. At its surface, this may appear to be a kitchen designed around entertaining, but really it's about the efficiency and functionality of the space. Right here is an induction cooktop. There are a lot of terrific benefits with these cooktops, and that's why all of the gourmet chefs are using this in their brand new kitchens. First of all, it's easy to keep clean, but most importantly, when you're cooking the food, it cooks it more evenly, consistently. It was also important to the homeowners that when the grandchildren are here, that they don't get burnt with the cooktop. And that's a terrific advantage of induction, is that you don't have hot heating elements exposed to little fingers. Now, efficiency in this kitchen, it was really well thought of. We have deep drawer bases for all of your large pots and pans. Also, when you're cooking the meal or preparing it here on the side, there's terrific access to all the spices. That way you can quickly grab it and use it and put it right back. We already touched on lighting a little bit earlier, but I just wanted to point out how terrific this task lighting is. That's always a key when cooking in the kitchen. Also, taking a look at how we ventilate this space. This is a high efficiency range hood. It vents up and directly out through the roof system. Continuing on, there is a terrific prep sink here with a garbage disposal in there. That's great for when you're peeling your veggies or cutting up all your fresh fruit. Additionally, how nice to clean out the sink this way. It's great to have an extra hose like this. I know usually you would have some sort of a spray nozzle over here on the side, but this keeps it simple and easy to clean. Here's that second dishwasher right here. And remember when I pointed out the spice rack over there? Well, look what we have here. It's not a spice rack. We've made our way to the beverage bar. This is terrific in the morning for your morning coffee. And then also when you have a big day over at the lake, you can come on in through the door and help yourself to a drink. We even have a nice little prep sink right here. And we didn't forget to make sure that there is still some terrific lighting. There's a lot about this home that really just draws your eye up. When you're in the kitchen, you're looking at the cabinetry and the way the wall cabinets tier up, and then it takes your eye to those timber trusses, and inevitably it's the ceiling finish. That whitewash looks absolutely beautiful. It's the color that the clients chose when they were at Golden Eagle. And then we also pointed out to them that they can actually run the planking vertically. That way it draws your eye up to the ridge beam at the center of the ceiling. And as we head into the kitchen, we can see a continuation of the same exact style, the same door style as well as wood species. But on the island, I decided to go with an accent. What I also did with the island that's a little bit different is I have a flush toe kick. It gives it more of a furniture appearance. Now on the toe kick on the perimeter here, I've got a recessed toe kick, and that allowed me to do the under cabinet lighting. In fact, you'll see under cabinet lighting also on the wall cabinets and above those wall cabinets. This is one of the meal staging areas in the kitchen. It's nice, it's out of the hot zone, so you don't have a lot of action over here. This helps prepare for dinner. And then what you also see over here is a second kitchen sink. Someone can be cutting up veggies over here, another one can be prepping over here. I really like this Wolf induction oven here. What I really like about the induction top is that it's very easy for me to clean. And it also, let's say you're boiling water, you can boil water twice as fast, so you can cook everything very evenly. And there's also plenty of room on both sides of the countertop here to set any hot dishes or any of your prep food. Speaking of countertops, this solid surface top, look how thick that is there, and this nice radius on the top. This top over here is a quartz slab, and it looks absolutely massive. One of the things I also like is I've got a dishwasher over here, and then this faucet's a special faucet. If I have dirty hands, or let's say I'm washing dishes, I can easily turn it on and off with just any touch to the faucet. This sink over here has the same exact faucet, but what it also has is a hot and cold water spigot. So what I can do is actually make my morning tea, and it comes out with boiling hot water. Some extra consideration that we had when designing this sink base is we actually put a fully functional drawer below. A lot of people would have a dummy drawer here, one that is non-operable. In this case, I was able to actually use the same amount of space and get more functionality. And we did the same thing on the island here too. So we've got that sink base. Notice the soft close on that drawer, as well as on the doors here too. Speaking of this island, you need to see how much functional storage there is in here. Both of these, they look like decorative end panels, don't they? But I can have spices here. I can also remove this shelf here, and I could actually have a bunch of trays. Also over here, by these island stools, I figured this would be a perfect place to keep a bunch of stuff that I wouldn't access much. And then over here is the microwave drawer. I get a lot of questions about this. So all you do is press a button and it opens up. It makes it really easy to take a heavy dish and set it in there, or to, of course, lift out the hot dish. I like entertaining and having people over for holidays and such. And usually I'll need the crock pot. By the way, that was an extra deep drawer there. Really easy to store this away. Now when I have this all set up, it's going to be important to keep it running. That's why it's nice to actually have an outlet right in the island. But I also have plenty of room here for setting out other dishes. Now even if I'm not entertaining, how nice for me to be able to plug in my blender, which I use daily, right here and not have cords dangling over the countertop. Now the other appliance I get a lot of questions about is this Professional Series Sub-Zero refrigerator. What I really liked about it is that it is extra tall. And I wanted that height throughout the whole kitchen. We have 4 big windows up here. The ceiling gets as tall as 22 feet. We also have this incredible range hood over here. This range hood is something special that Golden Eagle does. It takes actually a lot of extra engineering to make sure that we're supporting all of this weight. This here is a 4x5 hewn band board up here, and it actually matches the rest of the wood styling throughout the house. And that stone up there, it's the same stone that you see on the fireplace. But before we head over there, I just want to point out the extra height we did in these cabinets. We actually have glass up there. It has a rough industrial finish. I think those industrial elements throughout the kitchen as well as the whole home tie in really well, and you'll easily see them in the light fixtures. So actually the glass finish on this light fixture is very similar to that glass finish in the cabinetry itself. This kitchen is made for chefs. That's why there are 2 large islands. So this is the prep island, and this is the main cooking island. Now take a look at this prep island. That is an incredible sink. That's a fire clay enamel. It looks like your classic porcelain, but this is ultra durable and resistant to wear and tear. We also get this beautiful finish color. This is a large apron front sink, a farmhouse style. Now that faucet, how perfect is that for this home? These are Hans Grohe faucets in that matte black finish, and we even have an incinerator on each of these sinks. An incinerator is a garbage disposal, making it easy to get rid of all those veggies without having to fill up the waste bins. This bar prep sink is perfectly located. We're right next to a wastebasket pullout. There is also a dishwasher just on the other side, which we have with this sink as well. But it also doesn't take up a lot of countertop space, which is something that is important to keep in mind when you're considering the cooktop. Imagine you're at the prep island preparing your meal, but you have guests over. This sink allows great flexibility for guests to come over and utilize this without getting into this traffic workflow. Now, what makes this the cooking island is the 45-inch combination of induction and gas cooking. So you get the best of both worlds with this. And what makes it even greater is we're in open concept living here, yet we still have appropriate ventilation. I just click that button, you can't even hear this downdraft as it comes up. And another great feature is that we don't want all the noise that would generally be associated with any sort of ventilation. Well, this ventilation has a booster within the floor system, and it's located on the outer edge of the dining room. That allows for it to remain whisper quiet, and you don't even know that it's operating. How great is that? As we unveil today's tour, you will come to find that the cabinetry in this home is at the next level. This is absolutely incredible. These were provided by Birch Cabinet Company. And what I love about Birch is that nearly anything is possible. These are custom cabinets. We've got custom stains applied to these cabinets over here. This is a birch wood species. We kept the knots in the doors, so this is a rustic birch. There's also worn edges applied to this, and that brown color is a brown glaze. There's even birds pecking on all of these cabinets. We continue with the same wood species on the island, but in a darker stain. So the island separates itself. We even have a separate quartz countertop, whereas the cooking island as well as the perimeter cabinets all have the same attributes. Another great thing I love about the Birch Cabinet Company is the different glass styles that we have available to us, including this leaded glass that we see here. So not only was that second sink convenient, but now we've got a third, perfect for the coffee bar area. And I just love this. There's an Insta hot water heater. So if you're making tea or even pour over coffee, we can easily press this handle down, which is its own self-locking mechanism. And we can do hot water this way. And if we go the opposite direction, it's just normal temperature water. All of this is filtered. Now, if you're not a tea person, think how convenient it is to make pour over coffee. You can just simply put it in the sink and fill it up. And this is a great way to optimize your morning routine. Something that we like to do in our kitchen designs is we'll have double drawers like what you see here, but then we'll also utilize a hidden drawer within it. Just allows for a much cleaner aesthetic overall in the kitchen, helps reduce the amount of busyness that you see. Also, have you noticed the door hardware on these cabinets? The hardware is changing with the scale of the cabinet. So this pull is larger than that one up there because it scales appropriately with the door size. And we see the same thing being done on the cabinet drawers as well. We've got pull-out spice racks. This kitchen just goes on and on. Of course, wastebasket pullouts around the entire kitchen, always next to a sink. Now take a look at this microwave. You've probably never seen a microwave quite like this before. This Wolf base cabinet microwave has a pull-out drawer, which makes it very easy to load things in and out of the microwave. And it looks architecturally pleasing because it also matches the same width as the warming drawer below it, which is a Wolf warming drawer. I just love all the windows in this home. Now take a look at the kitchen. We've got 3 great large windows right in front of us here. Makes it easy to see if anyone's coming down the driveway. But we've also reduced the depth of these base cabinets. And then I love how the windows are brought down to the countertop height. So the reason that the depth of these were reduced was so that it was easier to reach over and open up the windows. That's pretty convenient. Speaking of convenient, there are 6 pop-up outlets in this kitchen. There are 2 on each island as well as 2 on this back countertop area. These pop up, and we've got USB-C and USB-A charging, as well as a standard outlet on the other side. And to top it off, these are even wireless charging capable. That is great. With 2 chefs in the kitchen, of course, they wanted the best of the best when it comes to appliances, which is why we have this Sub-Zero double refrigerator and freezer unit. This is 6 feet wide overall, 7 feet tall. That height scales appropriately with the size of this home. We also have 4 ovens, 2 conventional ovens, 1 steam oven, as well as a speed oven over here. This is a forever home, which is why large walkways were important. We need to consider if you're using a walker in the future or a wheelchair. And even beyond that, it's just the simple comfort and convenience of the home. Now, most walk spaces in a kitchen are recommended to be at 42 inches wide, but this is 52 inches from countertop to countertop edge. And that's the narrowest point in this kitchen. It's even wider over there. How impressive is that? This is a very comfortable space, even great for when the grandkids come over. They can sit at this island top and do their homework at the end of the day. But if there is a wheelchair needed sometime in the future, you're able to pull these chairs away and slide right in. While of course it is common and perfectly fine to use the cabinet materials back here, we figured with a home like this, using extra quarry stone would be perfect. This is such an impressive island with a quartzite top that came in weighing over 1,600 pounds. And that's such a great benefit of designing not only the cabinetry with Golden Eagle, but also the entire home, because we're able to load the floors for that 1,600 pound top. Even the 48-inch cooktop is 600 pounds, which really sets the tone for this kitchen. Continuing with that tone, we've got these 3 pendant lights. I appreciate that the light doesn't catch your eye. It keeps things a little bit more subtle. And even the island is an accenting black finish with some birds pecking applied to it. We've got the large, extra large X's. Even take a look at this outlet. How often do you see outlets that just so subtly hide into the background when they're not in use? I think that is absolutely wonderful. Just behind me here is a 48-inch Viking refrigerator. Just real impressive for this space. I always appreciate how the professional series refrigerators have such a taller height, which is great for the amount of volume in homes like this. It also adds to the beefiness, the ruggedness of this style of home. This range hood is so impressive. Not only is there terrific draw for the 48-inch range below it, but it also just has such a unique styling, and it brings in the colors of the cabinetry and of course ties into the stone on the primary fireplace. Another attention grabber in this kitchen is this fire clay enamel apron front farmhouse sink. This is just absolutely impressive. There's even a grate at the bottom and a cutting board. This was all included with the sink. And take a look at these fixtures. This is perfect for that industrial styling that we see throughout this home. And of course, all of this was provided through Golden Eagle, making it easier for the homeowners who don't live in this area to be able to pick all these items out and ensure that it's all gonna work perfectly in the home. Now take a look at the cabinet finishes. Although there was a black finish on the island, as well as these shelves, there is a gray tone, a shale finish on the rest of these cabinets. Both colors create a unique combination where they don't have a stark contrast, but they support each other. At first glance, once you get beyond the feature wall, everyone's heart is brought into the kitchen, which is the soul of the home. This is an impressive kitchen with a 16.5-foot long island. This is perfect for entertaining. Everyone can gather up with the bar stools. We've got matching refrigerators on each side, a 48-inch Wolf gas cooktop, and all of these cabinets, these are frameless cabinets. A very modern aesthetic. Also, frameless cabinets give you more access inside the drawer and the doors. We've got seating on the L shape of this island, and the seating continues on to this open screen porch area. This is pretty special. We can close off these doors and have it sealed where we still have our view outside, but as you see right now, they are completely opened. We can open these doors over here and pull the screen all the way across.
Just imagine the great airflow throughout the home and how spacious this must feel. This is perfect for hosting and entertaining.
We all love gathering at the island. There is room for 3 wide stools here. I could certainly see 4 stools fitting in that space as well. There are decorative doors on each side of the island. The focal point of this island has got to be this beautiful GE Monogram Series gas range top. This is beautiful. I love all the gold accents that we see here, and it contrasts, pairs really well with the black that we have, of course, on the grates. We have the same countertop selection on the perimeter as well as the island. I think we're starting to see a trend back to that where the island and the perimeter are being made to be the same selection as opposed to the popular contrast of accenting the island. There's plenty of great usability on this island. Of course, you want to be able to have all your cutlery available to you when you're cooking. So that's why it's nice that we have such big drawers on each side. Behind me is the continuation of the GE Monogram series. This is an oven microwave combination. Just imagine you've got that big, heavy turkey. We have roll trays on this. It's all at a workable height. I think that's really nice and convenient. This is also able to be smart connected into your phone so you can program different recipes. If you don't want to use your phone, everything is available on the touchpad here. Same thing goes for the microwave above. Microwaves are so much more deluxe than they ever used to be, and there's a lot more usability in them. So I think that's great. It also looks really good. Well, let's continue on. We have an ultra quiet dishwasher. A low decibel rating on a dishwasher is so important when you're in an open concept space like this. And then we have a cast iron enamel farmhouse sink. That's beautiful. What a statement piece and a really good contrast to the cabinets. Admiring these cabinets. When you get closer to them, you can really appreciate the glazing that was applied. The glazing highlights all the different edges that we have in the craftsmanship of the doors and drawers. Recall that we have 10-foot walls. The height of the ceiling at its highest is 20 feet. There is plenty of room for extra tall cabinets. Now just imagine that someone would have designed this where the door goes all the way from here to the top of the cabinet. It would have seemed unordinarily tall. That's why we've stacked this cabinet together. It's all built as one, but we have 2 different cabinet areas in this space. That's great for extra overflow storage, and it adds a lot more visual interest. Another great opportunity to add visual interest is to stagger the cabinets. While we oftentimes talk about staggering the height of cabinets, you can also stagger the depth, which is what we have in this corner. Accented the bottom of the cabinet with an additional molding. That also helps cover the lighting that's below the cabinet. Lighting isn't nearly as eye-catching as it used to be. What I mean by that is it doesn't stick below the cabinet very much due to the benefits of LED lighting being so minimalistic. Little details like this are what make it a Golden Eagle log and timber home. I am admiring this backsplash. While it does resemble that traditional subway running bond tile pattern, it in fact is a much longer tile, and I think it adds a lot of good character. I love the way the tile changes. It looks more rustic. While we're in a brand new home, we're pulling in some of those rustic, earthy, homey selections. I think that's great. Now, here's one thing, it's just so easy for me to overlook because we do it all the time, but I admire the precision of this cabinet design as well as the window layout. All of this was designed before the home was ever built. That helps ensure that the project stays on budget and everyone knows what to get. It also allows for the construction to go seamlessly. So think about that. All this was pre-planned. The precision of where that crown molding comes and meets the trim, as well as on the other side here, the equal spacing that we have, and we're taking into account the extra large trim that exists. It's little things like that that to me just jump out and say, this is a home centered around craftsmanship and detail. Let's look over here. We have a large pull-out pantry. The client said, this is our second home. We don't necessarily need a dedicated pantry, but it's great to have these extra large pull-outs. very easy to access. And then we also have a nice GE monogram refrigerator. A lot of great benefits to that too. We even have a Keurig connected into that. I've never seen that before. Pretty neat. As we walk around this way, I admire the panel configuration that is on the side of that refrigerator end panel. So whereas a lot of people would leave that to be completely flat, and of course, you could think that that looks fine, which it does, but a home like this, you're gonna be seeing that all the time. And especially when you're doing that glazing on these cabinets, it looks so good and it adds so much more interest. So why not do that on the side of that big, tall panel? Right above me, we have what we would call a cased opening, but it kind of reimagines what most people think of as a cased opening because we've got this massive timber work around it. This large island opens up the space. Not only is it great because of course it provides that extra seating, but when you're working at the island, you can see all of your guests. With 10-foot wall heights and cathedral ceilings, there's such great volume to this space, which is ultimately defined by the mortise and tenon timber trusses above us. This truss defines the kitchen space. And then we're defining the dining space, and the remainder is defining the gathering space. This is just a wonderful overflow, bringing everyone together. We can overlook the lake on this side, and on the entry side of the home, there are windows in that upper gable, allowing us to see the beautiful skies and the trees towering above. Let's get oriented with this space. We've got the front entry coming off the covered porch, a great mudroom drop zone area over there. As you walk into this area, you are overwhelmed by the incredible timber trusses, but you're naturally invited into the kitchen. We have this oversized island, which is accenting the perimeter cabinets with its painted finish. These are inset cabinets. Now we see that oftentimes throughout the rest of this home. Inset are a very custom and designer aesthetic. So take a look at this. These are extra special. Rather than two separate cabinets, these were built together for one large cabinet with different doors and drawers within the space. This is a chef's kitchen with a 48-inch range, a custom metal hood. This is impressive. Now, there is also a lot to consider beyond what you see at first glance. Take a look at this pullout. So when you're working at the range, it's convenient to have knives, ladles, and all of these spices below easily at hand. Also with great symmetry on this side, we have a tray divider. It keeps getting better. We've all got those KitchenAid mixers that we're bringing from the pantry into the kitchen. They're heavy, they're a bit clunky, tough to store. Take a look at this. This stand pulls it up for easy access. Of course, if you're using it quickly, you can just leave it there. It's also easy to put on the countertop. It just easily stores away. And what a great place for storing that. Come around the island. This is extra deep. Take a look at this drawer stack. This is cool for a couple of reasons. First of all, we've got 5-piece drawer fronts, and then the top is a slab. It's a great designer accent in this kitchen. Speaking of accents, have you noticed those pulls? A fork, a spoon, a knife. Well, where's the knife drawer? It's right here. That's pretty brilliant. Now, just over here is the coffee prep area. We've got the pull-out microwave, prep sink, of course, coffee maker available to us, and take a look at the wall cabinets. It is just so great when you have the opportunity to light up a space like this and display items that are important to you and the family. The back of this island features storage, and while we're looking at the kitchen from this view, take a look at that symmetry, all right? So we've got the refrigerator on the left and a pantry on the right. It allows for that range to be perfectly centered within the space. I just love the aesthetic of cabinet appliance panels. So these cabinet panels have been applied. We've got a freezer on the left, refrigerator on the right. We've also elongated the space, elevated it up with an extra decorative area matching the height of the pantry just over here. With such great volume in this space, it makes sense to make the cabinets extra tall. Each window has a sconce above it. That is just a great accent. Of course, we've got lighting in the toe kick, above the cabinets. There is lighting throughout this house. Incredible pendants above this large island. This, by the way, is a granite island. Black walnut on that impressive dining room table. You'll see other live edge wood accents throughout this home. It just goes on and on. Really nice touches that carry throughout the space. This is an awesome pantry. Take a look at these big drawers. Who doesn't love the flexibility of extra big pot and pan drawers? Now, just beyond this space, something we haven't featured before, it's an automatic door that opens. So imagine you're coming from the kitchen, whether you're bringing in groceries, you can just open it with your elbow. That's pretty cool. Let's work our way just over here. This is another way to get into the pantry. A barn door just beyond this space. And now a mega refrigerator setup. So we've got a freezer on the left, refrigerator on the right. Each of these are 3 feet wide. That's awesome. With all this countertop space, you can easily set items down and then store them away with closed cabinetry above and then open shelving, which is ultra convenient when you've got your big appliances like this. We work our way back out to the kitchen. This is an incredible kitchen. There's such a great pop of color with the paint that was applied to the range hood, and that's even been carried over to the island. Now, this was a custom color requested by the client. This is a Sherwin-Williams color called Rosemary. I'm sure many of you will want to know because it looks good in this home. Not only does the island bring that together, but this color is also an anchor throughout the home. You're going to see it repeated. The other finish that we have in this kitchen is rustic hickory with a toffee stain applied. The door styling is a raised panel. And look at the tooling that made for the grooves and allowing for these extra shadows. There was a desire for these doors to have a lot more character so that it offsets the painted finish. Now, we of course have had kitchens that have painted finishes, and oftentimes a paint can make a kitchen feel much more contemporary, but in this case, the color brings in much more of a cozy cottage vibe. The top of this wall up at the ridge is 20 feet. That allows a lot of great space to push this hood up and taper it, allowing it to draw your eye up just like the fireplace did exactly across the room. So there's really good symmetry there when you're standing in this space. Another great thing that was done is these wall cabinets were made into being double stacked cabinets. So we've got another cabinet up there. Just look at all that extra storage. That is perfect, whether you've got extra mugs or your seasonal plates and dishware. You're gonna see the incorporation of black hardware throughout this home. We even see it on the pot filler here. Who doesn't love a pot filler, especially when it's above a professional range like this? And I love the idea of having a double oven unit. So whether you're cooking multiple items at once, or let's say you're trying to prepare your sequence of the meal, of your meal prep, you could have one of these serve effectively as a warming drawer, just to keep those items warm while you're finishing up that turkey. This is more of a deluxe crown molding than most because there was an applied molding added to it, and we see that carried through to the range hood above and the under cabinet molding. I love that. Whether you're doing under cabinet lighting or not, this is a really great way to finish it, and it gives us some more depth to the cabinet. When you're designing a kitchen, you gotta think about the flexibility of your drawers and doors. And oftentimes people do prefer having drawers because you can pull them completely out and get access to the back. Whereas if it were a cabinet door, you'd have to reach down into there. Of course, we can compromise and meet in the middle by having doors that open and then roll trays that pull out. In this case, this is the best. We have a big pantry pull-out. So imagine that heavy KitchenAid mixer, even the blender. Now it's easy to access and put away. And then above, we have access to spices and larger condiments. I like that they're all at a reading level, so you don't have to crouch down. Look at what's happened over here. We have really nice organization for the trays, even pulling out pans. We've got that color showing up again. As I said, we'll see that throughout the house. But just imagine how all these pots oftentimes get cluttered and they're hard to remain organized. Well, that is about as easy as it gets. This kitchen is optimized for the work triangle. Easy access to the refrigerator, the range, as well as the kitchen sink. Of course, next to the kitchen sink, you're always gonna find a wastebasket pull-out and the dishwasher. This is a Blanco sink. What's great about this sink is that it's incredibly durable. I also like that it's an extra large sink basin. If you're using the dishwasher all the time, then you certainly don't need a divided sink, so something for you to consider. The coil arc on this Moen faucet allows it to be the centerpiece of the island. Here are some great benefits to consider when designing your kitchen island. If you plan to have many guests sitting at the island and you're going to be preparing food, as this home would, being that it has visitors staying for an extended period of time, it's going to be nice to be able to keep this space isolated to the dishware and drinks. And then all the food prep can remain down here, out of sight. Another great feature of this is that it's just very comfortable. For those who are gathering around, they can stand at this island and they don't need to be seated, while others who prefer to be seated can remain there and be at eye level. It's these things we discuss with the clients to optimize the home for their use. Perhaps one more thing to consider with a raised island like this is that when it easily overflows into the great room space, you might prefer that those cooking items are out of view of everyone sitting in here. The hardwood flooring throughout this home is unlike any that I've ever seen before. This is a true reclaimed barn board. And take a look at the square dowels that were used in this flooring. You're gonna see that throughout this space. I like the accent of color of that. We also have variable planking width, going from 4 inches to 6 to 8 inches on this planking. The flooring finish pulls in the same colors that we're seeing in the timbers and in the walls. And these are very large planks. This is luxury vinyl planking. And I just love how it goes this direction with the home. Really draws your eye out, lengthening out the room. Another thing that does that is this huge island. Take a look at this. Can you imagine having all this workspace? This is wonderful. So I just love all the countertops in here. These are granite tops with a leathered texture. The veining in this picks up what we've got in the painted cabinets, shaker style cabinets. They will never go out of style. These are so popular and they carry through with so many different home designs. We also have tiered cabinets, just perfect for a space like this, being that we do have a large opening above, decorated with this ornate timber accent truss. Now that is the way to decorate a vaulted space. Just imagine if that truss wasn't up there, what would you do? I mean, I can't imagine that being a flat wall. This being open and vaulted makes the kitchen feel so much larger and of course brings in a lot of great natural light. One of my favorite things in this kitchen is the backsplash. It's very earthy, a lot of texture, perfect for a home like this. This is a great way to rethink how to do a backsplash, and the colors pull into the cabinetry just perfectly. We also have a pot filler. Who doesn't love the convenience of a pot filler? Now, I personally just love that aesthetic. It seems to really elevate a space. Who doesn't love new appliances? And that's the great thing about building a brand new home. You're gonna have all the latest and greatest. Take a look at this dishwasher. You're not gonna hear it when it's running. It's very quiet, which is perfect for a large open concept space like this. And now here is one that we get a lot of comments on. It is the microwave drawer pullout. Everyone loves this. It is so convenient. Let's just say you have a heavy dish. We can easily move it down into that drawer and slide it away. It's also great if you're warming up your coffee. You can actually see that liquid as you're pulling it out. You're not pulling it from above you and uncertain of how much liquid is in there. So it's very convenient in that regard, but a lot of our clients look at these homes as legacy homes and a home where they will age in place. If you are ever in the need of a wheelchair,
You still, of course, have access to that microwave. Plus, I love that we got it away from the upper cabinets. I don't need to see a microwave in a luxurious kitchen. When you're designing a new kitchen, you not only want to think about the amount of walk space available. Of course, you want at least 42 inches. Oftentimes, we're looking for 48 inches. But you also need to think about appliances and how they'll be used. The dishwasher, it may be opened regularly. So you gotta think about that. We don't want it to be conflicting with the oven across from it. Yet the oven doesn't get opened all that often. But what is the most popular appliance in a kitchen? It is the refrigerator. So take a look at this. I just love it that when this refrigerator is being accessed, we still have plenty of room behind it. We also have surfaces on the left and behind us to set items out. You bring your groceries in and everything is easily accessed to go into the refrigerator. I just love it. It doesn't conflict with the rest of the living space as well. These soft touches go such a long way. Not only are they soft to the touch, but also aesthetically, they lighten the palette of the room. Look at all the seating in this space. This is just so great for hosting and entertaining, with terrific overflow to the great room space as well.
This home is certainly rustic, but you still have all of the modern conveniences of a luxury kitchen. This kitchen is absolutely exceptional. With a rustic alder wood species, the customer preferred to have it this way, and we even have glazing. Even the hardware here, we've got wagon wheel hardware that is pretty cool and perfect for a home like this. These wall cabinets are taller than most, and we have staggered heights, really offering more of an accent, and even some lighting inside this open shelf area. The homeowners told us that they absolutely love having the microwave drawer. They had said they weren't really too sure. They hadn't used one before, but they'd seen it in our previous videos, and they said this was one of the best decisions that they made on their kitchen. This is a big kitchen, and what also makes it great is that you have a pretty big island here, one where a lot of guests can come and gather at the raised bar height. Now on the back of this island, we've got the same stone that was used on the fireplace. And there really are so many details surrounding us. Even when I look at that front door with those two windows above and the incredible windows up there, it brings in so much great light. It really is special no matter where you are in this home. With open concept living, it's important to use your furniture as a way to really delineate the different spaces. So we have that naturally happening with the island there, which defines the kitchen, the back of the sofa defining the great room, living room area, and of course naturally with the dining room table. Now imagine this space up here without all those windows. Not only would it be plain and ordinary and difficult to decorate, but it would also prevent all the natural light from coming in. There's a lot to talk about with this island. Not only can we seat 6 guests, but it's also faced with a hand-hewn reclaimed timber material. And that really offers a great accent to all the white cabinetry that we see in here. When Lucas and Chelsea came to Golden Eagle's Design Center, they had mentioned that they really liked what they saw in the Amazing Home video series. That is our Timberlake home, which features white cabinetry, black walnut timbers, and also the Timberlake ceiling finish color. We see that color scheme carried through in here. Now getting back to the island, this is a split island with a 42-inch bar top height, then your regular cabinet height, bringing this to about 36 inches. It makes this for a nice, easy work surface area. It also separates the work surface area from those who are sitting at the island. Another great convenient feature of this is that you also have terrific outlet placement. Whereas most single level islands, they'll only have outlets placed on the end of the island. We have up to 4 different outlets throughout here. You can really have as many as you want. Now that was done in mind for hosting. The idea of having Nescos, crock pots, all these different appliances that can be laid out so people can help serve themselves and then take a seat at the island. Really a lot of convenience in mind. Now when it comes to convenience, there is nothing quite as convenient as having access to the outdoor patio area right off the kitchen. Someone can easily come on in and grab a quick beverage from the fridge. Now, speaking of beverages, we even have a coffee bar over here and a separate refrigerator, one that's just perfect whether it's for soda, wine, or beer. I love the way that this kitchen is laid out. First of all, we don't have any pinch points with the refrigerator. It opens into a much bigger space instead of the hallway area. Now, this space is still very large, great for having multiple chefs in the kitchen at one time. Even in the early design phase, Lucas and Chelsea had entertaining on their mind, and that's why they wanted to have a sink placed in the island. That way they were facing their guests while hosting. So we've got the sink, the dishwasher, and even the garbage is right here. This is actually built into the cabinetry. Everything is centrally located, so not only is this a beautiful kitchen, but it's really well designed. When I first walked into this home, it was the 3 pendant lights over the island that made a statement. Not only do they have an industrial flair, but also an elegance which works perfectly in this home. It's always so nice to have an island. You can have others sit around you. As you're cooking at the island, you could be facing outward, and this is terrific. This island is pulling it all together with its darker finish, which ties in the dark wood grain that we see on the rustic hickory cabinets on the perimeter. On the back of the stool, there is a carving of a black bear. So this property is known to have seen black bear, moose, white-tailed deer. There is a ton of great wildlife. You'll spot a lot of this throughout the home. There's even a raccoon carving up there. How cool is that? We've got a 6-burner gas cooktop here. Now also behind me, got a wall-mounted oven, a microwave above. Everything is top of the line when it comes to appliances. Most of this is Bosch. Got the GE Monogram series over there, which is super high-end. We've also got your signature double pot and pan drawer. These are so convenient because there's a lot of flexibility in that storage. You've also seen in many of our other videos in the past that we like doing an inverted sink-based drawer. That puts the drawer on the bottom, and what it also does is it elevates then this middle shelf height so that when you're bending over to reach items, they're not nearly as far down. It's very convenient. That was also a great convenience of increasing the height on the oven so that it was at a more manageable height for accessing items. We've got the dishwasher over here, and when you're by the dishwasher, you want to make sure that you're always keeping that close to the sink and then also in the center of the kitchen. That way when you're putting away items, everything is easily accessible. There's not too much foot traffic to get from one place to the next. The clients customized everything in this home, even the kitchen cabinets. They wanted to make sure that they had storage over here, so we've got a big pantry pull-out with pull-out drawers. And then also what we did to add a little bit more of a dynamic element to the space is we staggered the heights up in 3-inch increments. And then we also staggered the depths of the wall cabinets from 12 inches to 21 to 24 inches deep. This offers a lot of great dimension to this space. Now, speaking of dimension, lighting, it plays a huge effect in how a space feels. Under cabinet lighting serves 2 functions. It performs as task lighting, but also it's great ambient light even if you're sitting in the great room space. Now take a look at the light above the sink here. This is just perfect. A lot of people are looking for a light right above the kitchen sink. We've got a single bowl stainless steel. Single bowl is very convenient if you're ever gonna have any large dishes in there. Also, another thing to keep in mind is when you've got that center divider, you need to make sure that the faucet doesn't line up directly over it because then it would splash on that center divider and you get ultimate flexibility with the single bowl sink. Take a look at this Venetian bronze. This looks beautiful. This is from Delta. It ties in great with all the other hardware that we see throughout the home. The door pulls have a dark bronze finish. We even see that on the drawer pulls as well. These are really nice. We've got wood dovetail corners here, a cutlery divider, and what's also nice is having soft close drawers. That way you don't hear the rattling of the silverware in there when you close it. Consider where the garbage bins will go. It's nice to have them in storage, but also on the outside of the kitchen. That way while the chef is preparing the meal, anyone that needs to throw anything away doesn't have to interfere with their workflow. Imagine you've been spending all evening out on that nice screen porch. You can use this as a drop zone and you've got the garbage nearby. That's very convenient rather than a 2-step process of dropping it here and taking it across the kitchen. Hosting was a priority for our homeowners, which is why they wanted to incorporate an open concept living area where the kitchen overflows into the great room. And that's why it's perfect to have an island with all this seating on 3 sides of it. This is perfect for congregating. It offers a lot of great flexibility in space, whether you're in that great room, the dining room, or the island itself. Now let's stay on the island for a second. This island is a contrast to the perimeter cabinets. It's important that when we contrast different colors that we're still coordinating it with other finishes throughout the home. We see that same finish applied to the railings as well as the front door. Revisiting the idea of hosting, It's a great consideration to have your kitchen sink in the island facing your guests. And of course, we've got the dishwasher next to it, a pull-out wastebasket next to that sink. We've got our 30-inch range, an awesome hood ventilating out the space. All these wall cabinets were raised up, taking great advantage of the volume of this open concept area. There are a few great ideas to talk about with just this kitchen sink alone. First of all, there are 2 sink basins, and then there's a low divider, which is perfect for when you still have large pans. Also, there is an incinerator, so we've got a button here. That's great for the garbage disposal, and then that button matches all the finishes that we have on these faucets here. So what this button's effectively doing is, it's replacing what would oftentimes be a switch on the wall. Many of you are probably wondering what this is. This is a beverage faucet, and it goes through extra filtration to get you that perfect glass of water. There is terrific light planning throughout this home. Let's just look at the kitchen alone. We've got above cabinet lighting on these wall cabinets, under cabinet lighting, perfect for when you're cutting up your veggies and preparing food. Look at the great shadows that it puts on the backsplash here. Also, we've got 4 pendant lights right above the island, all perfectly placed. Now let's continue on to this side of the kitchen. Of course, we continue with more of that uplighting. It highlights the bandboard that we see spanning this room. It frames out the entire perimeter of this space. This is a perfect spot for preparing drinks because we also have the refrigerator here with the freezer and access to ice. And right over here is a great drop zone. Now this is perfect because we've got access from the garage over here. You drop off all your bags, load up the refrigerator, and this is a pantry space itself. We've highlighted this in other videos. From a cabinet designer's perspective, it's great to be able to move that microwave from being in your line of sight to putting it in the base cabinets. And if you've got that heavy casserole dish, you're not lifting it overhead. Instead, you can easily move it from the countertop to that microwave drawer. Now, there are so many great ideas beyond this space, but let's not get too far away from this great room area. The custom stain applied to these cabinets blends perfectly with the timbers and the trims in this home. Now notice the transom window above the main kitchen sink. I think that correlates very well with the stacked cabinets that we have, where we have an additional panel above your primary wall cabinet. With the perimeter cabinets being as perfect as they are for this home, it's tempting to also use that on the island, but there's some great contrast here. Not only are these painted cabinets, but they've also been worn away with worn edges, nicks, and dents. So that really draws your eye in. And then on the side of the cabinets, as well as on the back of that island, this is the same finish that's being used on the ceilings. That ties it in perfectly, and just take a close-up look at this, how everything flows so consistently together. Even extending the side style down, it gives it more of a furniture aesthetic. This countertop is the same rustic hickory that we're using on these cabinets on the perimeter. Rustic hickory is a very hard wood. This countertop also has a very durable finish, so it'll stay looking good for a very long time. Now, speaking of countertops, we've got a leathered granite. That leathered finish offers more of a texture than what you typically feel on a countertop. And not only that, but if there are little crumbs on the countertop, you're far less likely to notice it with that texture applied. There are a lot of great details in the kitchen. Just take a look at this refrigerator end panel. It's been increased an extra 3 inches to 27 inches deep, enclosing that refrigerator unit. We've got plenty of pantry storage space over here. It's great with this coffee bar, open shelves. The same material was used that's being used on the ceiling beams above. And now you can really see just how perfectly these 2 stains tie together. That's what makes a one-stop shop like Golden Eagle so convenient, because you can make sure that all your colors are going to blend perfectly when your home is built. Now take a look at this crown molding above me. A stock molding, something with a shaker aesthetic like this, was perfect for this home. I also appreciate the amount of space that was left for these beams and timbers to be able to run right through, providing a structural appearance. The lighting selections in this home took it to a whole new level. So not only do we have wall sconces, which are effectively pendant lights with the way they've been placed, but then we have an additional 3 pendant lights within this space. I especially appreciate the decision of having a pendant light directly over the kitchen sink. Oftentimes that's overlooked because everyone considers the natural light coming in from the window. But of course, we'll need that in the evening time.
This island was made extra deep, allowing for stools on this backside, as well as the side of the island. And then just behind us over here, this is where that main stair used to go. We are on a concrete slab, heated concrete. It's warm and cozy throughout this whole home. But back to the seating, we've got all this extra seating, so when the big game is on that huge TV, everyone can grab pizza from the island and sit right here. We've got drinks easily accessible in the center of the kitchen with that 48-inch wide refrigerator. These are professional series appliances. I love the gas cooktop, got the professional series range, and the stone hood above. There are so many dramatic elements that pull our eye up in this kitchen with this extra tall refrigerator, of course the stone hood, and then even tapering the cabinets up, and we see the dramatic band board wrapping around the kitchen and then pulling our eye up to the upper gable. How often do you have windows like that above your kitchen? There's so many bells and whistles and a ton of great cabinet features. Take a look at this corner cabinet. Think of all those times there have been lazy Susans. Well, now we have drawers that pull out, making really good use of that space. Of course, we want drawers on each side of the range. This one's pretty great because we can have all of our utensils, large ladles and spoons. Of course, the microwave drawer. Another client chose that microwave drawer just thinking about the accessibility of it in the future. If you're ever in a wheelchair, you can easily access it. Now let's go around over here to this side of the kitchen. We have two extra big drawers. There's even a hidden drawer in there as well. We've got a cutlery divider in this space. That is wonderful. Even have a wastebasket pull-out, more cutlery dividers, and take a look at this. This is a peg organizer. A lot of times, you would think that your dishes would go above you in those upper cabinets, but that can become cumbersome in old age. It's nice to be able to visually see all these dishes, and hey, if there are young grandkids around, they can grab those dishes as well. That's pretty convenient. The great thing about continuing the kitchen beyond the primary kitchen space is that, first of all, it makes the kitchen seem visually larger, and it's very practical. What a great drop zone just outside the front entry door. And then we also, of course, have the garage access right over there. You'll notice that these base cabinets are primarily drawers. We've opted away from the hinged doors. This is just so convenient for homeowners to be able to easily store things in those drawers and then tuck them away so that when you do pull them out, you can access the back of the drawer easily. Rather than making this door extra tall, we've added more character and interest by having the split wall cabinet with glass in those upper doors. While it could be backlit in there and it would obscure the items that are in the cabinet, even if you don't backlight it, it looks really good and it catches the ambient light in the room. These are wonderful pulls. Take a look at that kind of a lantern pull there, and I especially like the larger pull hardware that we see throughout this perimeter of the kitchen. The color on those pulls were intentionally selected to tie into the dining room table, the legs on these stools, as well as the accenting island. It all comes together for a perfect cohesive blend. I love that dynamic of having an accented island that is so drastically different than the perimeter of the kitchen. By the way, let's touch on wood species. We've got rustic alder on these cabinets. You can tell by those beautiful knots and the blushing in the wood. And then we have a very clear wood over here on the perimeter because we're keeping more of a painted black. So that's a painted birch wood species. This island has a beautiful apron front sink, a black stainless steel. I just think it looks awesome. Oftentimes black metal elements in homes, they add a more rustic feel. And when you got black stainless, it's a rustic elegance. Pairs perfectly with a huge range hood like we have here. A trash compactor on one side, dishwasher on the other. Now you might be thinking, well, why a trash compactor? We are in a pretty remote area, so there's not regular garbage pickup. Having a trash compactor is extra convenient. Now, you gotta think about a dishwasher in an open concept space like this. You gotta make sure that it has a very low decibel rating so that it is quiet when everyone's congregating or if you're watching a movie over there, which this one is. Whisper silent. This home takes electrical planning to a whole new level. Take a look above me with these lights that are shining up on those mortise and tenon timber trusses. There's above cabinet lighting above me. Look how dynamic that is as it overflows onto that corner unit. Then we have under cabinet lighting, and I've never seen this before. As the island wraps around, there's lighting underneath the countertop, shining onto those hand-hewn beams. That looks awesome. Just love the attention to detail right there. When you first look at this kitchen, you probably don't notice the backsplash. It plays a very subtle supportive role in the overall aesthetic. It blends into the drywall from a distance, and the countertops do a similar effect. These are more simple in their design, whereas we have a very ornate quartz slab on the island. The colors in the slab pull into the black finish on the island and the black stainless on the sink. It is perfect. While this is stunning, and it is so tempting to do this on the entire kitchen, we need to reserve space for our eye to just easily rest along the backdrop and pull our attention to the island and that massive range hood. On a home like this, it is very common and appropriate to have shaker style doors as we do here, but it doesn't mean that everything needs to be square edged and flat. Take a look at the under cabinet molding. There's a beautiful decorative molding here, as well as a very dramatic crown molding above us. Well, this is a professional series refrigerator, which is only 24 inches deep, and it could have stopped here. We brought this side panel out an extra 3 inches, allowing a great opportunity for the countertop to die into the end of it. Now notice how this is flat. We have applied decorative door panels to the sides of all the upper wall cabinets as well as the base cabinets. You'll see that on the island as well as this exposed end just over here. I think that that's very important because when you're looking at the kitchen from this distance, it adds more character. We can get more large knots in these end panels than you would have on a typical cabinet end panel. So it adds a lot more interest. And anytime we have a change in different wood directions, we also have more visual interest. Now take a look at this kitchen. These are incredible countertops. These are actually concrete, and they've got a beautiful effect applied to them. They are extra thick and massive. The edges of these countertops are pretty cool. Take a look at the chipped rock edge. There's so much variability. It's a beautiful texture, and it's still smooth to the touch. The door hardware as well as the faucets are done in an oil rub bronze. These happen to be Delta faucets right here. And take a look at the copper sink. So this is a farmhouse sink with a bowed apron front. How great is that? Just absolutely love it. We even have rivets on the front edge of this sink. There is even copper on the range hood above us. With a vaulted ceiling like this, it provides a great opportunity to tier up the cabinets, allowing for great storage space. I love the utilization of this timber light fixture above with these hanging Edison bulbs. It just builds on that charm.
We're in the kitchen. Take a look at this island. This is so awesome. There are 8x8 hand-hewn timbers supporting 3 of the edges on this massive island top. This is great for gathering around. We got seating on the other side. There's no obstruction of a sink in the middle of the island. And it's great that everything's flat, leaving plenty of working surface, whether you're prepping the evening meal or just laying items out for your family gathering. We've got wonderful pendant lights lighting up that island, but also great natural light coming in from above the kitchen sink. The sink is a granite composite, which pairs perfectly with this quartz countertop. Take a look at the veining in this. The gray colors blend well with the backsplash, and I just love the herringbone that was used back here. It really draws your eye up, especially when you see the main kitchen stove cooktop area. That is just absolutely impressive. The cabinets are a rustic alder in this dark mocha finish. We can see the beautiful character in the knots and the different wood grain. So it's just such great variation. And then we've got seated glass on that corner cabinet. The seated glass adds a little bit more of an antique effect, a little bit of texture and interest. You can also tell by taking a look at that door that we have a center style. And that's really the shaker aesthetic that we have on these cabinets. You'll see the continuation of that throughout the rest of the home. Take a look at the trim and how everything fits perfectly. And we've got cabinets going from wall to wall. Now we also have an absolutely gorgeous barn door right over here. So not only is this practical, a great way to separate the mudroom and drop zone area, but it also provides for beautiful wall decor. Something that makes this space extra special is we have an incredible walk-in pantry. This just goes on and on. There is so much storage and flexibility. It is nicely finished off. The location of this pantry is perfect. Imagine you're preparing a meal and you quickly need something, it's right there. You don't have all these cabinet doors that you need to open up. You can easily see everything on these open shelves. Or if you're bringing in groceries, you can unload them on this kitchen island and then easily put them away where they need to be. That is ultra convenient and I think a great design idea on this floor plan. There is a continuation of timber framing above the kitchen area with these purlins spanning this space, allowing for much more purposeful and intentional lighting above the island, as well as the lighting when you're in the kitchen. See, this is very important. You want to make sure that your task lighting is appropriately lighting up what you're working on. We've got a terrific view out back. We can also see anyone coming in down the driveway. Now, how wonderful is this? Everyone loves sitting at the island, and there's plenty of seating here. This island is massive with a beautiful leathered finish on this granite. And speaking of finishes, take a look at the texture on this panelized Sub-Zero refrigerator. We also have put appliance panels on the trash compactor, the dishwasher. Take a look at that extra huge Wolf gas cooktop. I would love this. This would be great for making breakfast in the morning. And even the pot filler, just perfect for a space like this. Now that texture that I had pointed out on the refrigerator, that's carried through with the hood above us. This apron farmhouse sink has a divider in the middle, allowing you to accumulate dishes in one sink bay while working out of the other. I love all the metal accents in this kitchen. We can see it on the cabinets. These are all individually placed. These are handcrafted custom cabinets with inset doors. We've got accenting finishes. So the island and that refrigerator are all a lighter hickory finish. And then of course we see a darker accenting finish right over here with the travertine below. Take a look at the way the light hits the different depths of the travertine, as well as the pitting and texture within the material. Many kitchen designers prefer to have at least 42 inches of space between countertops. We have over 60 inches right here, so nobody is getting in anyone's way. You can easily lay out all the food on this island, or if you're hosting a large event, it's gonna be a very short path to take it outside. And right around the corner, how convenient is this, but we've got a pantry right here. The glass has a little bit of obscurity, which allows you to scatter the light, especially when the light's on in the pantry, and it just looks beautiful. So we've got rustic hickory here with, of course, that dark stain matching the cabinets. And we've continued with the rustic hickory inset cabinets in here in a natural finish. Take a look at these. This is just perfect. You can store your pantry items in here, even a sink for the coffee maker. Right around the corner is the main floor laundry and the master bedroom suite. We'll get to that soon. Now let's get started on the biggest topic, and everyone wants to know about this kitchen. The layout of this home is perfect for entertaining. The open concept really lends itself from having a lot of people gather around. You can have up to 7 people sitting at the island, and this space can flow into the living room area. What's really nice about this island is that the cooktop is right in it. It allows you to face your guests while you're preparing the meal. And there's plenty of countertop space to be cutting up your veggies. For those of you that like composting, we also talked with the customer about having a disposal right in their sink. The sink that you're looking at is a granite sink. As you saw in the previous episode, episode 6, we showed how we supported the weight of this sink as well as the entire island. Not to be overlooked is this beautiful industrial looking faucet. The faucet is a matte black. We're seeing that become a very popular finish. And then the clients also wanted a hot water spigot. That way, whenever they make their morning coffee or tea, they have instant hot water available for them right away. Something to consider when you are entertaining is where you're gonna plug in all your crock pots and your Nescos. That's why it's really nice to be able to have a pull-up outlet, and you can plug in up to 2 appliances on there at one time. Considering that this whole island might be full of those, we also have another one on this side as well. You see, it's these little details that are important because a lot of times people end up putting their outlets on the side of the kitchen. They're usually routing out the cabinetry, and then you have cords hanging over the edge.
Well, when you have a lot of grandkids running around, those cords can get caught. We don't want that to become a safety hazard. What I like about this too is the stainless steel ring around here, as well as the black, ties in with the rest of the appliances as well as the faucets. This refrigerator fits perfectly with the cabinetry. The cabinet designers at Golden Eagle make sure that all of your appliances have a guaranteed perfect fit. There's not even a gap at all between the refrigerator and these column boxes. Notice the detail on the column boxes. Those are fluted ends on there. We even have additional detail with moldings around this opening on the custom cabinet. The client wanted to be able to highlight items up there with some beautiful recessed lighting, as well as a nice interior. It's perfect for displaying Christmas decorations or really anything throughout the year. Most designs would leave this area open, but being right next to the front door, we thought this would be perfect for a drop zone. You could place your keys there. We also made really good use of this space by actually having pantry pullouts. Perfect for storing items just like onions, potatoes, and squash. There are many lighting sources in this kitchen. First, we have natural light coming in from both windows, as well as the natural light flowing in from the loft area. We also have a beautiful archtop window above that front entry door. Now for the lighting on the cabinetry, there's lighting not only above the wall cabinets, but also below. The clients chose to have their microwave in the base cabinets. That way they could set their hot dish into it, and then they could bring it out, instead of having it overhead. They also like the idea of keeping more flexibility in their wall cabinet space. Nobody wants cooking odors in their kitchen, and that's why it's important to consider the exhaust system. There are two ways to do it. Of course, you could have a range hood above, but the client didn't want to interfere with the open concept. So instead, they put the exhaust, which is a downdraft, into the base cabinet. Not only is it nice because it's used when you need it, but it's also stored out of the way when you're out of the kitchen. One of the fun things about building a brand new home are all of the new choices that you can make to improve your lifestyle. There are a lot of modern conveniences that can be taken into account. For example, your traditional oven would not only sit on the floor, but you'd also have that hinge at the bottom. That way you'd need to step all the way out, bend over just to put something in there. Whereas this oven not only is set up higher, but you also have a double door that opens. You can pull your dish out of the oven, you can set it on the tray, season the dish, put it right back in. And then if you're trying to time your meal so that everything is ready at the same time, you can also use the warming drawer as well. It's perfect, and there are a lot of conveniences in mind with this kitchen. Another thing to consider is the large, extra large pot drawers, as well as extra large pot drawers over here. There's even a hidden drawer as well. There are plenty more things to consider, and you can design your dream kitchen to be however you'd like it to be. Two more appliances I just want to touch on briefly. The dishwasher is right to the left of the sink, very easy for loading it up or unloading it. And also right next to the sink is the trash compactor. Trash compactor will serve also as a garbage. Speaking of that, this over here is the recycling center. It's really nice, it's out of the way. I'd be really curious what you thought of the appliances that we showed in the kitchen. Be sure to comment below. Before we leave the kitchen area, I wanted to show you how we extended it over to include this pantry. So it's really nice with adjustable shelves. Notice the soft close on that door there. Not only are the doors soft close, but also the drawers. The perimeter countertops are a different type of material and color as the island. On the perimeter, that is a Corian, so solid surface. On the island, where it's gonna get a lot more use, the client decided to use quartz. This is extra thick, really massive. It's a beautiful color. On the back side of the island, it is finished with cultured stone. Now let's talk island cabinetry colors. The cabinetry on the island is different than the perimeter cabinetry. This is a knotty alder, and the finish color is very similar to the finish color on the log walls. The perimeter color actually ties in some of those same elements. The worn edge on here is that darker, more rich color, not only tying in the island and the wall finish, but also the ceiling finish. The knots on the ceiling finish are that darker color as well, and then the surface on that ceiling finish is very similar in color to the surface on the cabinet. There are a lot of little details that we pay attention to when doing custom cabinetry design, such as adding decorative end panels. It's the little details like having base molding around the perimeter of the cabinets or even having glazing in all of these grooves. It's these little things that really makes this home truly custom.
Let's go check out the inside. This property is full of views, and I can see exactly why the homeowners wanted the kitchen here. I just saw a deer as I was walking in, and it's really easy to do in this kitchen because we have all these windows and 2 6-foot wide patio doors. My first impression in this home is that the homeowners had a cabin on their mind, but this is not an ordinary cabin. We are standing in well over 7,000 square feet in this home, and as you can see, this is a luxury cabin. We have Wolf and Sub-Zero appliances, rustic hickory cabinetry, and as I go throughout the rest of this home, you'll see that no expense was spared. If you watch the video series featuring my own home being built, you'll see that I took a lot of inspiration from this same kitchen. Not only do we have an induction cooktop, but we also have a pull-out microwave drawer, and I have the same size refrigerator, a 42-inch wide Sub-Zero. I love the way that it's framed out with fluted box columns, and even a little extra detail here. The cabinet designers at Golden Eagle actually brought it out to 27 inches, which allows for it to receive the countertop as it goes into the box column. Let's get into more fine details of this space. First of all, behind me we have a beautiful backsplash with custom scenes behind each one of those. Those were hand selected by the homeowners. There are also some beautiful subtle colors that bring in the rest of the space, including the slate flooring. Right below me are 2 pull-out refrigerator drawers. How cool is that? So not only do you have the refrigerator, which has plenty of storage, but this is also a great way to alleviate any congestion in the space. The homeowners wanted a special space where they could store all their fruits and veggies, and nothing gets lost or cluttered in the refrigerator or the freezer. This countertop was really ahead of its time, with quartz now being the most popular countertop selection in all new home construction. And not only that, but this quartz top also has a very special edge to it, and it's extra thick. I'd say that's about 50% thicker than most quartz tops. And it doesn't stop there. Take a look at this backsplash. It has a matching profile as well. There is a lot of great lighting in this kitchen. Not only do we have lighting at the base of the cabinets, but also under and above the wall cabinets. Now, what I love most about this is that this keeps the space really well lit when preparing your food. And speaking of preparing food, how many of you out there have found a recipe on your phone, but by the time you need to make progress on the recipe, your hands are already dirty? Well, the homeowners here have a display monitor where they can cast the recipe to the display. That way they keep their recipes hands-free and they can visually see it throughout anywhere in the kitchen. This is really convenient. Many standard kitchens have a blind cabinet with a lot of loft space. What I love about this design is the angled base cabinets that are not only supported by adjustable shelves, but they also have rotating trays. What's great about these trays is you can rotate them 360 degrees and close the door at any time because they never get caught. We've also done that up here on the main wall cabinet. There is so much to talk about in this corner alone. We have a pull-out spice rack conveniently located near the oven and a prep space. We also have a spice rack, but it's being utilized as an opportunity to store coffee and tea. I think that's a terrific idea as well. And right behind me is one of my favorite appliances. It's a warming drawer. That does so many favors for you when you are hosting big gatherings because you can prepare your meals ahead of time in the oven and then keep them at temperature. It's really, really convenient. Just imagine having a big family Thanksgiving and having all your food hot and ready all at the same time. You'll always appreciate the flexibility of a double oven. And it really doesn't get any better than this. These are extra wide. And of course, in a kitchen like this, you've got to do Wolf. You've got the classic Wolf interior. These really look sharp. They're also framed out perfectly, something that our cabinet designers at Golden Eagle took in mind. You'll see that there's an even reveal on not only the rails, but also the stiles all the way around the oven, just like there was on the refrigerator. All that's been thought out, and you see the same thing carried over to this microwave drawer.
I utilized this in my home, and my first consideration was aging in place. I'd figured if I ever needed a wheelchair someday, I'd still have access to the microwave. But what I've really found to become one of my favorite considerations is when I'm warming up my coffee. I never spill it because I can always see how full it is. When Golden Eagle was designing this home, we also considered the grandchildren. That was always a top priority for these homeowners. And that's why we suggested that instead of utilizing a top drawer in the base cabinet for cutlery, let's do it above the countertop. That way it wouldn't be so easy for the grandkids to be able to reach up and grab knives. This also makes for really convenient storage, and best of all, it's right by the dishwasher. So when you're unloading the dishwasher, you have easy access to unload everything such as your dishes, your plateware, and all of that. This trash and recycle center is perfectly located in this kitchen, being that the primary prep areas will be next to the sink as well as this large surface. Not only do we have a 15-inch wide trash compactor, but there are also 4 bins here, perfect for recycling. When I think of a luxury kitchen, I don't simply think of everything being the most expensive. I also think of attention to detail and no shortcuts being taken. An easy shortcut would have been to eliminate the rest of these base cabinets and stop the countertop here. That would make clearance for this patio door and the trim. But instead, the homeowners decided that they would also like to utilize vegetable bins. So the designers at Golden Eagle incorporated an angled base cabinet. That way the countertop could recess back and still have clearance for the trim. This is really a great feature. Not only does it lengthen out this whole space and really continue your eye, but it also is a terrific drop zone when you're coming in from the deck area. Let's head to the magnificent island. How beautiful is this? But have you ever seen an island with this kind of shape? This island seating and the cooktop itself was very intentional. The homeowners wanted to make sure that while they were preparing the meal, that they were still able to see face to face with all of their guests. We've got plenty of seating here, and as you can see below, there are just gorgeous decorative corbels below it, as well as a beautiful fluted column to support this massive top. The incorporation of authentic end panels, which is a built-in profile of the door, but built into the frame of the cabinet, really is seamless throughout the whole backside of this island. This was also utilized on the side of the refrigerator. It really is a great continuation of this space. The placement of a beverage center on the outside of the kitchen makes a lot of sense. It helps eliminate foot traffic in the main working area. And how cool is this? We actually have roll-out drawers for all the wine. You have your beverages in here. It's really easy for your guests to help themselves. And we have these pull-out bins which have your bottle openers and all your accessories for making drinks. Before we leave this space, let's just take note of the fluted columns as well as this decorative edging. These two really tie together, and we see that throughout the kitchen. This home is full of so many bells and whistles, a lot of them that you don't really see on first sight. In this case, we have a 45-inch wide Wolf downdraft. This has so many CFMs that it keeps the space really well ventilated, which is perfect for all these cooking surfaces, not only the induction cooktops, but also the vegetable steam oven. And below us, we've got so many base cabinets. It really is a spacious area, even with the downdraft recessing into it. We also have additional drawers at the bottom. Not only does that create extra storage, but it also brings up the shelf area of your pots and pans, which means that there's less bending over that you have to do to grab those items. Now, the feature that a lot of people get excited about is this hammered copper apron sink. The farmhouse style of this sink integrates perfectly with the rustic decor of the home. Copper is a living finish, and that is something that you'll see the homeowners utilize throughout the entire home. We'll see that in the bathrooms, which are also nearly as spectacular as this kitchen. Having a sink right next to the dishwasher always makes a lot of sense. Another thing that makes a lot of sense is making sure to have a lot of flexibility in your space. And wait till you see what this dining room table can do. Right now, it can seat 6 guests, but it can easily accommodate up to 2 more guests without sacrificing any sort of elbow room. That's because this table expands out from 5.5 feet all the way to 7. And lastly, we can't forget about the Super Susan. So what's great about that is a table as wide as this, the guests will still be able to easily sit down and access all the dishes that are available. It really is a great idea.
These chairs are not your ordinary dining room chairs. They are very comfortable, and they're also upholstered with beautiful leather. It looks like it'll last a lifetime. That leather theme is continued throughout the home. As you can see on the chandelier above me, we have tooled leather, which you also see on the wall sconces, and even on the cabinet door and drawer pulls. You'll see that that's tooled leather as well. It's really a great continuation of different elements throughout the space. Let's get started in the kitchen. I'd love to hear what you love the most about it.
Oh, please, come in.
I think what most people would probably notice right away is the double islands, and a very unique shaped island, but also just the footprint that this takes up. It clearly is the center of the home. What are some of your favorite things about this kitchen?
Well, I think Thomas has just a real eye for design and lines, and he was real adamant about everything being level for conversations instead of an island. And this was kind of fun because when you're trying to decide on colors, you can actually blend them, which is fun. So I wanted the aloe and he wanted the white. If you're in Scandinavia, Sweden, you know, it's pretty white everywhere. So we added little touches of color, but the counters are great too.
I even see a little bit of that color in your countertop here, pulling that in.
Yep.
And you went 2 different styles of countertops.
Yep.
That really, I think really draws your eye to the big island here.
The leather, we love that.
Yes.
And
it's
I had,
easy to clean,
you know, I had a clear picture when we started too, because I had seen the pictures back in time, not like this, but the idea of this. And as you can see too, you know, the height, it's a countertop height all over. So no matter where you are, when you enter the room, you see straight through it. When you are in the living room space, you have a conversation over here. We can have the dining table, and you can always, you know, sit at the bar when someone, and like mostly one of the 2 of us, are cooking and be engaged in everything. So it's very warm, I would say.
I see you have an induction cooktop here. A lot of the viewers are gonna ask about your appliances, your favorite cabinet accessories. Will you walk us through some of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have this in Sweden, and so we wanted to reproduce it because we love it.
We love this. It's quick. It's easy to work with, and if you love cooking, you know, it's a great tool. Put everything.
He's usually saying that to me. Turn the fan on.
Yeah.
This is great. It really is. I'm surprised how quiet that is.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've got variable levels of
absolutely.
how much ventilation there is for the downdraft.
But it's also, again, you know, imagine having this big thing hanging on top of here. It wouldn't work, you know. So, you know, we had this opportunity, and I just love the design of it.
And I see you have a bar sink over here. Is the main vision of this that you'd be prepping while visitors are over and you're still outward facing your guests?
Again, between, you know, so we have the prep site here, you can
Garbage
take
and
away.
recycling, which is so great. And one of my favorite drawers, your staff at Golden Eagle was really great. I'm like, oh, this is fun, but just a separate place for the knives.
I see the dishwasher right next to the sink always makes a lot of sense. I also noticed your black faucets, and there's a lot of incorporation of black elements throughout the home. I see it in your door pulls, in the faucets.
And it's by design. You know, if it's for things to look the way we want it. This, I would say, is not very common either, but it's, you know, it's solid, it looks good, it's a touch of luxury or whatever you want to put on it.
I love the tile that you did on the backsplash. Now, a lot of people would just pass that by and think it's an ordinary subway tile, but these are very unique shapes, actually. It's a much larger, longer tile. And I think it really complements the scale of your home very well, because this is a large kitchen. We're in a very tall space. I would imagine we must be somewhere around 25, 26 feet.
That would be close, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, and this is just, you know, in Sweden, it's very minimalist, and so you can see we did the crown molding. That's just very simple. And, you know, I was thinking, okay, we got to do this and shelves. And he's like, could we just keep it nice and clean? And now that we've done that, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was thinking of adding things. So it turned out just clean and simple. And one of my favorite features is for the pots and pans. So a little messy, but
even rollout trays on this.
yes,
rollout
the rollout
drawers.
trays. Yeah, I
Boy.
definitely would not do without that. So
Well, that is great, because not only is it great for the pots and pans, but even if this were someone's pantry area, you can pull out all those smaller items that would generally be hard to reach.
Yep.
So really a lot of flexibility and versatility in the space. I also noticed you have a lot of 2-drawer bases, the double drawers. Those are really great for flexibility too, aren't they?
Yeah.
A lot of great storage options. I also see the microwave base. A lot of people are seeing that happen in their kitchen designs. It's a way to really eliminate it from being at eyesight.
Yep.
It's amazing. Again, it's open up. You put your stuff there, push it in, and easy.
Your lighting fixtures in this home are gorgeous, just gorgeous.
Gee, that was fun.
Tell us a little bit about that. Because what I'm seeing is we've got a bit of glam over there, and
With
this
the branches, so it's got a little bit of it's glam with the up north branches, which
exactly.
is fun.
And this was brilliant to do a little bit of obscurity in this glass because then it never looks dusty, it always looks clean, it diffuses the light really nicely. It would be tempting for the lights to catch someone's attention and really be distracting, but in this case with the obscurity in the glass, it really isn't.
Mm-hmm. And we did the under cabinet lighting and everything. We really put a lot of detail in the lighting because especially at night, it's so beautiful with the dimmers, and a lot of times in the evening all we'll have is the dimmer lights here and in the cabinets here, and it's just beautiful.
Most people look at this as just purely a dining space, a gathering space. I see a cord over here. Looks like there's a charger.
Each side of the island has it. And we love this seating. We often eat here, and if we have overflow, a lot of the kids will sit here and the adults here. Yeah. And then we had fun just adding more space. Our old house, we had a little cubby because I was like concerned that there was no cabinetry, and so Golden Eagle helped us add a cabinet in the back of this for our games, so that was kind of fun.
That is great because
it's hidden. It's hidden. You can't even tell.
Really, all of these are decorative doors.
Right.
The back side of that cabinet.
Yeah.
And this is just great to be able to capture all that extra space.
Yep.
No one would even think that that's
I know.
there.
It's fun.
When it comes to the flow of your kitchen, I think it's brilliant that you can have this as your workspace. All your visitors can easily pass between the 2 islands or beyond the outside perimeter. And you've got great task lighting with under cabinet lighting here too. And Thomas, I see you've got another light up there installed.
Yeah. Just so we know that the dishes are clean.
That's great. That's great.
No.
And with the double ovens here,
yeah.
this is pretty neat. You don't see this too often where it's got a side hinge.
No, and I think, like you mentioned before too, if you look at the size of the aisles too, it's so we can, work on both space instead of, trying to zigzag between each other on all the sides around the kitchen. But this is a neat function too. At least we thought so when we, put it in here. Instead of, having the door bending over, you can just open, and now you can work and pull out tray for the oven and everything. It's very, very easy. And of course, since we love cooking, we have 2 of them. So
yeah.
Everything is just first class. I could even feel the weight and the smoothness of that door. Now, what is this, Donna? What do we have going on here?
Well, this is our barn door. We usually keep this closed when we do laundry, but otherwise we keep it open.
So I'd love to have you showcase this for all the viewers out there, and no better place to start than the kitchen. Also, you mentioned that you're both in tech, so I am sure that there are a few bells and whistles that a lot of people don't quite catch when they're watching this through video, so be sure to point those out to us.
Yeah, there absolutely are. So I love to cook, so I wanted the best tools. I did a ton of research. I did weighted estimates on features that I wanted out of appliances, and I kind of landed on either Viking or the Sub-Zero Wolf series, and everybody directed me to Sub-Zero. So the house is entirely Sub-Zero, Wolf, Cove, that line. Since I love to cook, I have a gigantic fridge freezer. So we got the 36-inch columns, which I highly recommend if you're designing a space and you can create the room for it. As a chef, it makes such a difference to be able to prepare a bunch of lasagnas and have them in the freezer and have plenty of space and those sorts of things. Another cool thing we did is I really love to do sous vide cooking. And so we installed a vacuum seal drawer over here.
Wow.
And so this is a commercial chamber vacuum sealer right in the island, which is nice.
Boy, I do feel like I'm in a chef's kitchen, that's for sure. So yeah, we've got 6 feet of Sub-Zero fridges here. So we've got a freezer on one side, fridge on the other.
Yep.
So 3 feet each. Whoa, look at this.
Yeah, so we have a mini golden doodle Stella,
Aw.
and we put a little feeding station for her. And our countertop friends also recommended a backsplash because, you know, dogs they like to splash water when they drink. So it was great to get that in there too, but it's really nice to have it out of the way. You're not kicking a water bowl when you walk through the kitchen.
And now, of course, I can't help but look at this countertop. Scott, is this about 3 inches, this top
Yes. Yeah, this is a quartz countertop, 3 inches to raise it up just a little bit for the bar height.
Well, we're also both really tall, so we wanted, as we called them, tall people amenities. And so, you know, if you're really tall and you're doing a lot of food prep, it helps if your counter's just a little bit higher. If you try to raise the rest of the counters, you start to have problems with appliances being like the wrong height. So having your main work surface is a really easy way to do some customization. So we love to do a lot of entertaining, especially with me loving to cook. And one of the things we love to make is old fashions. And when somebody finishes with their drink, you bring it over here and you just do a quick rinse before you give them a refill. And that's a really nice little like bartender thing to have on hand.
That's awesome. The big work surface that you have over here with all the seating, you probably were planning on hosting and entertaining.
Yep, for sure. That and another thing is we both work from home full time, and Scott loves to sit and work at the bar. He has an office, but he likes to kind of move around while he's working. And so he will often be sitting here. So we wanted to have really comfortable chairs. We didn't want uncomfortable stools. And we wanted this to be deep enough that I could be here chopping something and not splashing onto his laptop, right? So that's why we designed it this way.
Wow, well, it really is great. And I love the accenting island that we have here with the darker finish compared to the perimeter.
Yeah, I definitely recommend, especially if you're building a big kitchen, to have some of those accents. Otherwise it can be like a lot of the same color.
Yeah. We have really great symmetry here with your beautiful wolf cooktop and hood with the Sub-Zero on the other side. This is really, really great how the whole kitchen laid out. Take me through this a little bit. Is this 48 inches wide? How wide is it? Okay,
Yeah, it's a big one, and it's got a griddle here and 6 eyes. And this baby pulls so much air that we had to have makeup air. Yep. So that was a fun calculation. And then having this is really helpful. So you don't have to like carry a pot of water from your sink over. You can just fill it up right here, and that's very useful.
And I mean, we can't overlook what is happening here with this beautiful backsplash.
Yeah, so like say you are, making pasta sauce or something that like stains really bad. You don't really want it to splatter onto your natural marble like we have our backsplash or get in the grout. And so having a nice big quartz surface that's easy to clean is really helpful. We were really happy with how ours turned out design-wise with this pattern here that laid out nicely next to the pot filler.
And then right next to this, we've got a steam oven, is that?
Yeah, so this is a steam oven. This is your typical convection oven. But this is what I use for the sous vide. So using steam, it can hold a very precise temperature for a long time. So I will vacuum seal something, pop it in here, turn on the steam at 160 degrees and let it go. The other thing that's really nice about a steam oven is it's really good for reheating food. Like leftovers taste like you just made them. It's the best way for heating. This actually is a smart oven, and so it will send a push notification to my phone when it's at the right temperature. So if I'm preheating or something, so that's really nice.
There's so much beautiful light in this kitchen. I even see it accenting the beams that are going across. Do you have any sort of smart home integration with your lighting?
Yeah, so the lighting is largely Lutron. We have a little bit of Hue. But it's really nice because you can create scenes. So we have an entertaining scene that turns on all the lights. You can turn off all your lights at once. We have a scene that we call Evening Chill, which is we just finished work and we want things to be a little like dimmer, right? We have Let's Eat, and it also plays music. So it'll turn on the speakers and play some music while we have dinner.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you've got smart speakers throughout the home too?
Yep.
Wow. Boy, this place is just perfect for entertaining. I see an awesome wet bar over here. Scott, will you walk me through some of the process and how you laid this all out?
Happy to. So with the bar, most of the cocktail dishes are in this cabinet here. I've got some of my favorite bottles up on top. The majority of the bottles are here in the center.
That's what you brought me when you came to Golden Eagle, right here. That bourbon
perfect.
whiskey.
Yes, the short mountain for our short mountain. It's a local distillery, and you'll be taking one of these home with you when you leave.
You guys are too much.
We also love this. This was kind of an unintended happy coincidence, is that when you walk in this door from the garage, it's really nice to have some place for stuff to land. And it used to be our dining table, but then the dining table would be cluttered when you're trying to have dinner. And it's nice to have just a landing spot for packages or whatever it is. And so we also have this little spot with like a charger, some tissues, where to put the mail. And so it's just like nice to be able to have a drop zone as you walk in the door.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And this is a smart lock, which is also nice because if we need to let somebody in and we're not home, we can just give them a code. It also connects to our phone, so you can make it part of your arriving at home automation to automatically unlock it for you.
Wow, awesome. And I'm sure that once you get to a certain point at night, if the door isn't already locked, it'll automatically lock it for you.
So we actually have a good night automation, and when I tell Siri good night, it does a few things. It turns off a bunch of lights, and it closes some of the blinds, and it also makes sure that this door is locked.
Wow. So the blinds are smart blinds also?
Yes, they're also Lutron smart blinds. And you can either voice control them with scenes, or you can use a button to control them. They have a little
Look at
remotes
that.
everywhere.
Oh, wow, up there too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. A lot of times it's really tough to achieve any sort of blinds in those upper windows because you can't reach them. But this is perfect.
And we have found it to be very important because there are times of the day that the sun is just blinding.
You had nearly everything planned from the start, but there are some things that you just don't know to expect. Anything about this space where it really ends up being one of your favorite things that you didn't even really plan for?
So we planned for this, but I think, I know you were skeptical about the bottle filler, and now you're in love with it.
True. The bottle filler?
Yeah, so it's in the pantry.
Oh,
We have a butler's pantry.
Let's take a look.
I drink a lot of water
That is awesome.
throughout the day. Being able to just get a quick fill of chilled filtered water.
Great.
Not bad.
Wow. This range hood is special, truly one of a kind. You've seen something similar in a few of our other homes, but this one in particular stands out, being that it goes all the way to the ridge beam in the room. This is about 15 feet tall, whereas most of the time a stone range hood is going to be on the side wall of the home, and its overall face will be about 4 to 5 feet tall. Being that this is triple the height, it really leads to quite an impactful statement, especially with the elk above us. This is the biggest elk that you'll see throughout this home, so it is just fitting that it is on this range hood chase, also across from the moose that we see on the fireplace over there. This is a 36-inch range. That's an induction cooktop, and take a look at this oven. How convenient is this that we actually have roll trays on the oven, making it a lot easier to load and unload. Now let's get into the island. This island has a tiered countertop, one for bar height seating. On the back of this, we've got outlets. We even have plugs in here for USB ports. The kitchen sink is located right in the center. That way, when you're working at the sink, you're facing your guests, and it has a divider right in the middle, which is perfect for hand washing dishes. And naturally, we've got the dishwasher right next to it. Now, an important thing to keep in mind with a dishwasher in an open concept area like this is to have a low decibel rating. This thing is whisper quiet when it's running, which is perfect for a space like this. There are many great accessories that you can have in a kitchen, and it's important to think through workflow. Within this kitchen, we have a perfect work triangle from the kitchen sink to the refrigerator to the range. This is a special refrigerator. We've got many different options, from a family calendar to even being able to play different music throughout the entire home. And there is even the option to view what is inside of the refrigerator. So you can actually pull this up when you're at the grocery store and take a look at what's in there. You can even keep a food list and easily add items to your shopping list. Another great feature is you can create timers. So you could create a timer right on the go and just use it for a one-time use, and you can also save one. So I just put one in and I gave it a label of brownies for 30 minutes. You can hit start on that. And what's really great about this is you can have multiple timers going at once. That's important to keep in mind because not only do we have the range over here, but there is also a warming drawer. A warming drawer is convenient for timing out a meal, so when something comes out of the oven, it can still be warm when everyone's ready to eat. Another great feature of this is you can actually slow cook food and it even has an option to retain moisture in the food or help something dry out further. So for example, let's say you're making bacon and you want to keep the bacon warm, but you can also have it draw more moisture out of that bacon to make sure it is crispy and ready for the morning breakfast. The cabinetry is a rustic hickory with a warm brown tone, which ties into the brown tones that we see in the stone utilized throughout the home. Now take a look at that backsplash. This is the same size as your traditional subway tile with a running bond pattern, but it looks nothing like traditional tile. In fact, this looks more like it's metal work, which is just perfect for a home like this where we've got metal accents, stainless steel appliances, and a lot of great details that play off of each other. Even take a look at the flooring. This tile flooring is a different size than the rest of the tile flooring that we have in this space, and it's running at a 45-degree angle. The flooring also has beautiful brown tones in it, a bit of a rich color with that brown. It looks like a rusted finish, but of course it's not with this porcelain tile. And even embedded into the tile itself, we have a moose down here. What a great way to walk into the home. It really does set the tone. And while I'm down here, I can't help but appreciate the beautiful stone that we see on the back of the island. This is gorgeous. Not only does it tie into the same colors that we see in the tile flooring, but it also offers a lot of great depth in lighting. And even the color of the stone ties in perfectly with these timbers that are running vertically. It's the same color as the timbers that we see throughout this entire space. Imagine it's been a few weeks since you've been at the cabin. There was no need to heat it at room temperature the whole time while you're away, and that's why it's convenient to have a smart thermostat. These homeowners set the temperature to be 72 degrees, so that's warm by the time that they get here, but it's not keeping that temperature while they're back at home. Another great convenience feature is that they have smart bulbs, so there's a mixture of Hue bulbs as well as Lutron throughout this home. They can control all of their lighting through their phone, and they can even control the lighting temperature. That is great, a wonderful way to set the mood. As you've seen in a few of our other videos, others have used this for party showers and even beautiful ambient lighting when they're hosting parties. This home even has security features.
It's a terrific idea to place your primary kitchen sink under the main window in the kitchen. We also have great lighting with the pendant light above, which continues from the 3 pendant lights that were above the island. Just behind me here is a gas cooktop with a beautiful range hood above. The dark finish on that range hood accents these wall cabinets, and it pulls into the darker color that we have on the island. Now you may be wondering, what is that beautiful wood species on these cabinets? This is so popular. Many of our homeowners love selecting rustic alder for their wood species because you still get some variability in the wood grain, but it isn't nearly as variable as something like hickory. Rustic alder knots are also a much tighter knot, but they carry a very dark accent, which pulls in to the dark accents that we see on the range hood as well as the island. Now you may have noticed the bare pulls. These are just great, perfect for a home like this. And doesn't this look designer and luxury? It looks like we've got 2 ovens, and in fact they nearly are. We've got a full oven down here, and then this is a microwave speed oven above. So this is really nice, easy to access all of that. And even on the oven below, how convenient is it when you have trays that roll out? It's just really great for grabbing the pizza. You don't have to reach into the oven. Now there are a few things that may surprise you as you start opening up the drawers in this kitchen. There are hidden drawers. So we've got the pots here. Of course, we don't need all that height. There's a hidden drawer above, and we've also done the same thing on the other 2-drawer base. There is a lot of great flexibility in large drawer bases like that. And then we also, of course, have dedicated drawers, just like this big utensil drawer just over here, so you can find all your cutlery. And then take a look at what's happened on all the wall cabinets. We've staggered the different depths. So this goes from a 12-inch deep wall cabinet to a 15-inch deep. And then also heights have been staggered as well. So we see that variability and contrast in the wall cabinets. That's something that we had done on the previous home with these homeowners, and they absolutely wanted to carry that through to this design as well. We've got the refrigerator located over here. It's strategically located because a lot of people are going to be accessing that refrigerator, and we don't want it to be in the center of the kitchen workspace because, of course, you'd find yourself getting in the way. So this is very, very convenient. You've got to see what happened on these bar stools, and we actually have the same thing over on the dining chairs as well. So these were all custom made for this home. Got beautiful metal accents right there. Speaking of metal, we have a very consistent metal finish in this home, which would be black. We see it on the faucet, the pot filler, and that's why it's so great to be able to be consistent in pulling colors throughout the home. And we see that on the wall plates as well for all the light switches and the outlets. Now you may be asking yourself, what other storage could there possibly be in this kitchen? It's already so big. You're gonna have plenty of stuff already here for you when you visit the home. And then you're gonna come to find that there's even a specialized pantry pullout. This is so great, it's even labeled spices and oils, coffee and tea. You can pull this out and easily access all the teas at the back of that pullout drawer. Of course, everything in this home is soft close, whether it was that barn door, the cabinets, even the toilet seats. Everything is meant to be at the finest of quality and materials. When we're talking broad strokes of the most popular features of this home, the kitchen is usually one of them because everyone loves this massive island. It is a 2-tier island, which makes it great for all of this seating, but it's the center hub of the home. Everyone gathers around here and there's plenty of space to lay out all of your food. Convenience of a 2-tier island is it allows for easy location of outlets, but also a natural separation of all the food that's being prepped and then where everyone is seated. When you take a look at all the cabinets back here, these are rustic hickory, perfect for the style of this home. The homeowners wanted to make sure to keep this home a lighter color scheme. When we take a look at the ceiling finish, this is something different. Typically we're seeing 8-inch wide planks. So this is more of a traditional style home. Therefore, we selected 4-inch planking throughout all the ceiling finishes. Most islands look like the rest of the cabinets in the kitchen, but this one takes it to a whole new level by wrapping it with the same log material that was used throughout the home. It's a 10-inch stack height with a hand-peeled finish. Not only will that stand up to little feet kicking at the back of the island, but it also just looks impressive and draws your eye in, bringing a more cohesive theme throughout the rest of the home. Speaking of special features, have you noticed these posts already? These have flare root bottom posts, very special. These are specially selected out of the forest just for this home. The island is 4 feet deep, over 12 feet wide, plenty of seating on the back side. And another great perk is that those cabinets are accessible, which is terrific for any overflow storage. Now take a look at the cabinets on the back wall. We're going from floor to ceiling over on the refrigerator side. These custom cabinets were hand selected by the homeowners. They had up to 13 wood species to choose from and nearly any sort of color that they could come up with. In this case, we had chosen a rustic alder. The rich dark color of the wood knots tie in perfectly with the color of the flooring finish. Also, the rich brown bounces a lot of great colors that we see throughout the whole space. The homeowners do a lot of cooking, which is why it was important to have a 48-inch wide range. This wolf range definitely makes a statement. And of course, the hood above is just the icing on the cake. It is a statement piece. We also get great lighting below it. The under cabinet lighting and lighting below the hood allows for great task lighting when working in the kitchen. Another great feature is having a pot filler which matches the Venetian bronze on the kitchen sink faucet right over here. What's great about these faucets is that these have magnetic collars. That way they snap back into place. The dark finish on the cabinet pulls and the faucets ties in perfectly with the veining that we see in the granite countertops. And above us on the island, we've got beautiful obscure glass on each of these 3 pendant lights. I love what was done with the hanging pots and pans because that really plays into that industrial aesthetic as well. Also with the open shelving. All of this is built out of the same material with that exposed piping and some reclaimed timber boards. The cabinets are a rustic hickory, perfect for a log home. We also have rustic hickory on this flooring. It's an engineered hardwood flooring, and look how great it ties together. This is what I love about rustic hickory. There's a lot of variability. It's a very interesting wood. and I think it brings a lot of character to the home. We have some pretty cool appliances in this kitchen. This looks like it's a double oven, and I suppose it technically is. We do have our traditional oven here. I love the roll trays on this oven. It's just gonna be so easy to put that heavy turkey in there. You can adjust that roll tray would be on the lower rack. We also have a microwave here. How great is that? So it hinges down and it's more than a microwave. This is also a convection oven. That's really convenient. We have an induction cooktop over here. And what I love about induction is, of course, not only that it's really efficient and very even heating, it's also a much more safer cooktop rather than a gas cooktop. And they've got a lot of young grandkids here at this house. But also, I love the extra storage that we get by being able to incorporate a top drawer up here. The homeowners mentioned that they love this cutlery organizer. How convenient is it? You're in the middle of the workspace, so easy to keep organized and tidy. You may hear a lot of interior designers say it's common to mix metals. Not everything has to be black, and that's what you're seeing here. So we've got this satin nickel on the faucet hardware, black on the piping and the pulls. And then we're pulling into, like, take a look at the knurling on this. So on the hardware for the appliances, it pulls in then to the faucet itself. So not everything needs to be the same. It's perfectly okay to have a little bit of variety. There's also great opportunity with consistency, particularly with glass. So we've got seated glass on these wall cabinets in the kitchen. You're also going to see seated glass on a lot of the light fixtures throughout the home. So it's just a nice touch, a great continuation as you work your way throughout the space. The best kitchen designers think far beyond how good the kitchen will look, and they also like to consider how will it be used? How are you going to access items within the space? Oftentimes, clients who are on the shorter end struggle with the idea of imagining themselves utilizing the cabinet above the refrigerator. So for these clients, we designed this special space allocated for their step stool. That's so convenient. And then for those who don't need the step stool, they can still get easy access into this cabinet with roll trays. Rather than having one large roll tray, this is divided. Allows you to easily step into this area and grab anything from the side. We really love utilizing roll trays. They're in a lot of the base cabinets in this kitchen. But I think what's really important is putting them in a pantry cabinet. Just imagine if those were fixed shelves. Things would get lost in that area. I can now easily access these boxes in the back. It allows for you to keep a much more organized and tidy space, and homeowners love it. 2 decorative panels have been applied to this pantry cabinet. That way it has a finished aesthetic, and it looks like they could be cabinet doors, but you and I know that's actually the side of the cabinet door. Something very similar has been done on the back of these base cabinets for the Peninsula. So these are applied, but take a look over here. Being that we've got the depth in this space, we now have another cabinet. Look at all these roll trays. You'd have no idea that that's even there.